Hey, Shalom. First, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, the house of David. Let's get into this. This is gonna be the waiting game part. I think this is part 3. Yeah, part 3 or 4. I'm gonna say part 3. You know, you know. Cause this is gonna be dealing with us with waiting, because this is what we have to do now. Waiting, not waiting like before, not waiting like before. Waiting because it's more closer than it's ever been. It's more closer than it's ever been, but we still have to sit and wait patiently. Ain't no trying to force the Lord's hand. Ain't no trying to force some events. You know, that's how Judas got caught up. You know, that's how Judas got caught up. You know, ain't no trying to force things to happen. You know, and you end up becoming a big T. You know, a big T. Nah, things are gonna happen in Yahweh Shemel Shai's time. You know, so we have to wait patiently, and we finna get an example of waiting patiently. You know, you know. We're gonna read down on it. Well, we're gonna read on it. Cause it's a bit. It's a bit. I wanna get his situation, because we're going to be like this. We're going to need to be like this character in this time, you know? This one of our forefathers. We're gonna need be one, like the example of one of our forefather in this time. You know? This is Genesis chapter 37, starting at verse 13. And Israel said unto Joseph his youngest son, Do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, Here am I. And he said to him, Go, I pray thee, and see whether it be well with thy brethren and with the flock, and bring them word again. So he sent out, and he sent him out of the vale of out of the vale of Hebron, and he came unto Shechem, and a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field, and the man asked him, saying, What seekest thou? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, They are departed hence, for I heard them saying, Let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren, and found them in Dothan. And when he saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said unto one another, Behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him, and cast him into the pit, and cast him into some pit. And we will say, Some evil beast hath devoured him, and we shall see what become of his dreams. Now these brothers were like, we're gonna see become his dream. We're gonna see what we're gonna see what become his prophecies. You know. And right now if you can compare. I ain't saying they wicked. This deed was wicked, but it was according to Yahweh Shem's plan. Just like everything, they're playing a part of the wicked. And Joseph's playing the part of the righteous. And what does the wicked want to do with the righteous? They want to what? They want to do away with them to see what will become of these prophecies, what will become of these dreams. Cause what? Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua speaks to his people in what? Dreams and prophecies, parable, dreams, parable, prophecies, signs and wonders, that's Yahweh Shema shall speak to his people, you know. What the scripture says, your young men shall dream dreams. Well, I mean, I think it's your old man shall prophesy, and your young men shall dream dreams. Roughly paraphrasing, you know. This is what Esau either want to do. He gonna say, well, let's see what's gonna happen to these prophecies. These prophecies. They want to what? They want to cast you into all these concentration camps. They want to cast you beneath the guillotine. And they want to put you into captivity through the micro C-hip. They want to put you in captivity by the micro C-hip, caged within yourself, branded with his brand, and to see what happens to these prophecies and see what will come from these prophecies if they exterminate you or have you under their submission. You fully claiming that you are his, Continuing, verse 21, and Reuben heard it, and Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill her. Reuben was acting like the angel. Reuben was acting like an angel unto Joseph, And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into a pit that it is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again. Yeah. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I know he older than Joseph, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how old Reuben was, but I think Reuben was one of the first fruit brothers, acting like a big bro. How we start looking at for the younger brothers. Reuben. You can see the correlation I'm trying to get to. Big bro looking at the young bros. That what Yahushua did. Yahushua did what he did, so what? He can deliver his elect to his father again. Those that was cast off, like what's about to happen to Joseph. Joseph's about to get cast off, but Reuben, he put his hand in it so he can what? Deliver him to his father again. And what Yahushua did, Yahushua sacrificed himself. He did what he had to do on this earth when he was here. He sacrificed himself. So what? He can deliver his children, his elect, the younger brother, to his father again, Verse 20, let's continue. Verse 23. And it came to pass when Joseph was come unto his brethren, and they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him, and they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty. There was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread. They lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spiceries and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Judah said unto his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and of our flesh, and his brethren were content. Judah like, how long we going to? you know how Judah is. Judah get hot. Judah get hot real quick, right? But he'll start to calm down, like, hold on, I'm tripping. Hey, hold on. Hey, let's not do that. Let's do this instead. Yeah. Let's do this instead. We kind of going out. We tripping. Hey, let's not kill our own brother, bro. He like, I don't fuck with this nigga, but like, let's not kill him. Let's get him gone. you know, if you new to this thing, you might not understand what I'm saying. But those of y'all do, y'all get it. Look, we a part of 12 tribes of Israel, right? Not all black people is the same kind of black people. I hate using that word black people, but it's the word y'all understand. Not all black people are the same black people. You have those in America that's from the tribe of Judah, but you also have those who already came over here, like the Native Americans. They would be Gad, from the tribe of Gad. You have some that was shipped over here that's dark skinned, that came from the tribe of Levi. We might have some similar features, but we're not of the same tribe. We're from one of these different men that you were hearing about. There was brothers, but we come from their seed. They are the patriarchs of the different tribes. They're brothers, so they might have looked a bit the same, but again, they're not all the same. They're the same house, but not all. I'm gonna say this again. It's just the same tribe. They're not the same. They're not from the same tribe. You know. So majority of I won't say majority, but a lot of the so-called Negroes in America are of Judah. Then you have some of the again of Levi, Reuben, Gad, people because Esau Edom, the so-called white man, has classified everybody that was of a darker skin and of curly wool like hair. He classified them as Negroes. Even though not everybody's from the tribe of Judah, not everybody's from the tribe of Levi, not everybody's from the tribe of Reuben, Gad, so on and so on. If you like, you can if you deal with so-called black people a lot, you can tell like the difference about their spirit, about how they go about things, their personalities. Everybody had like a bit of characteristics of their father, according to scriptures. I mean, once you all get into scriptures, you be like, okay, Levi was like this, Judah was like that, Reuben was like this by their characteristics, but also by looking into history. How did these people in these regions of the earth act? You look that up and study that. You can find out. You start to see character. You can start to see these different characteristics within different individual of so-called black people. Now I'm finna get back to it, 'cause I went off on a little tangent. But I just want those who's new to if you know, I doubt people watch this. Just be caught up a bit. You get what I'm saying? But I'm finna continue slacking. My bad. Should have paused on that tangent. But yeah, let's continue. What was that? Yeah, verse 28. Then there passed by Salaki, I had to clear my throat. Then there passed by Midianites, merchants, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought Joseph into Egypt. And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. Reuben was pissed. Reuben pissed because by context, Reuben must have left. Who was trying to get Joseph back to the father. He was trying to rescue Joseph basically. So by context, Reuben wasn't part of the one that sold Joseph. By this context, because Reuben must have left. Because it said, again, we're going to read 29 again. And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. Well, meaning like he got pissed and like, no, ripped his clothes and stuff like that. So what? He didn't know. He said, damn, I was too late. Reuben probably tried to rescue. Reuben was probably trying to rescue him, He probably had a rope. He probably had a rope down. He probably had some water. Once he got Joseph out, some water and bread, but he was already gone. Verse 30, and he returned unto his brethren and said, the child is not, and I, whither shall I go? And they took Joseph's coat and killed a kid of the goat and dipped the coat and dipped the coat and dipped the coat in the blood. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, this have we found. Know now whether it be thy son's coat or no. And he knew it, and he said, it is my son's coat. And evil beasts have devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. And Jacob rent his clothes and put sackcloth upon his loins and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up. Joseph had kids. Because we hear about the patriarch, but we don't really hear too much about his daughters. I gotta look that up. How many daughters Joseph had and what was their names? I shit you not. I ain't read Genesis a couple times, but I don't recall the names or how many daughters he had. I gotta look that up. Cause this man was fruitful. I know he had many kids. It's a lot. He can continue. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to come to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, for I will go down to the grave unto my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar. Freak this word. Potiphar. I don't know, some each bad name. You just say that. And the officer of Pharaoh, I knew it. And the captain of the guard. Let's continue, verse 38. And it came to pass at the time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adulamite, whose name was Hira, and Judah saw their Slakia. I might skip down. I might skip down on this one. I'm just trying to get to Joseph and stuff. I might go back and read all this for myself, because there's some stuff I forgot and it'd be interesting. Let's continue. All right, verse 39. Chapter 39. This is Genesis chapter 39, verse 1. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, and an Egyptian bought him out of the hands of the Ishmaelite, which had brought him down thither. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was prosperous. He was a prosperous man. Now I want y'all to keep in mind. Joseph was sold. Now he was unsold as a slave. But what? The Lord was with him. And he was prosperous. What? Things was working in his favor. Things was working in his favor. So what? We have to remember. We have to remember this. Why? Because we're going to a time. We're going to a time where what? We're going to be hated, just like Joseph was. Some of us going to be put into captivity, these concentration camps, like Joseph was. Some of us are going to be in the wilderness for a while. You know, like Joseph was. He was what? In the pit. You know? But what? In these strenuous and dark times and situations, the Lord was with Joseph. And it's going to keep illustrating that. It's going to keep illustrating that. You know? And what? And in these times, if the Lord be with you, you're going to be prosperous. You're going to go through hard times, but you're going to be prosperous. Those of you that are off the lick, look, I believe in Yahweh Shemel Shah, you know? And I really think you do. I know some men. I believe the men that I fellowship with. I believe these men. Me personally, I speak as a man, I believe these men are elect. You know, and the Lord we're gonna be with y'all. The Lord gonna be with y'all. You know. I just gotta hope for myself, but the Lord gonna be with y'all. There's some people, some sisters that truly believe in Yahweh Shema Shah. The Lord gonna be with y'all. Y'all gonna be prosperous. Y'all gonna be prosperous. Nothing really bad probably happened to y'all. Y'all might get pushed or shoved or something like that. But no real damage probably even happen to y'all, Because what Yahweh Shema Shah gonna be with y'all. You are a daughter. A princess of Yahweh Shema Shah. You know how men are with their daughters, especially the well-behaving daughters. The fathers treat them like princesses, And I believe Yahweh Shema Shah gonna have y'all back. Just believe and trust in him. Believe and trust in him. Each time these prophecies go off, it get worse, but you be like, the Lord, you gotta be like, the scriptures has foretold this. The scripture has foretold this. This is just Yahweh Shema Shah's will. He is real. His power is real. His power is in motion. Trust in that. Let's continue. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master of Egypt, master the Egyptian. And his master saw the Lord, and his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had put into his hand. Now, you can see this is the I want to say honor, because there is a code to having people under you, like slavery and stuff like that. There is a code. I say this is like somewhat the honor of I don't want to say I don't know if honor be the right word. I want to say integrity. Would integrity be the right word of these other nations? Because Esau didn't do this. Esau treated us, like the worst of the worst. He treated us worse than animals. Esau, Edom treated us worse than animals. You probably think about the house nigga, but the house nigga just had a little bit of authority. The house nigga was just a horrible, horrible slave. I mean, his mind was destroyed. Just go look at videos like, I don't want to say movies first thing you see. Go look at things like, I remember Malcolm X was talking about the house Negro. It's been some people in the Black Panther talk about the house Negro. These people that were close in the time, they parents had an idea or knew exactly how a house Negro acted, You know, you know, and it was the worst. It was no good thing with Esau Edom. In these other in these other captivity, like the Babylonian captivity and stuff like that, you had men come up in status. You had men come up in status and be honored and revered and got respect for those who they was under captivity from, and was treated like a servant. A servant. With Esau Edom, you was treated like a subhuman. You was treated like a subhuman. You was treated worse than an animal. And if you was a house nigga, you was just more of a well-behaved animal with them. That's why Esau Edom gonna get it. That's why Esau Edom gonna get it. Is so many reasons Esau Edom gonna get that. What I said, he's gonna get a double cup. He's gonna get a double cup. You know? Getting back on point. And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian house for Joseph's sake. We finna come into some, like Elder Kazak said, we finna come into some crazy times. We don't know what situation we better be in, but the Lord gonna show favor to his elect. And whatever, it's gonna be people that's gonna see it. It's gonna see that favor. And I don't know, they probably be like, hey, you might be on the run, but ever since I was with you, or you been in my house, I cover you, ain't nothing but good stuff happened to me. Hey, I can't really keep you here for too long because it's going to endanger me and my family, but take this and take that and go in peace. They won't get a word from me. Just think about these last day dystopian situations, but with the Lord showing favor unto you, Now, Salaki, I need to sneeze. Salaki. Salaki, y'all know how these bodies are. But yeah, you know. In these dystopian times, you gotta think you gonna do dystopian. It's like them dystopian movies, but you the main character, but the Lord is with you. It's just gonna be some times of testing, yes. It's gonna be some time of testing, but no evil shall touch thee. 6 troubles shall he deliver thee. And the 7th, that nuclear destruction, no evil shall touch thee. That nuclear destruction. Let's continue. What was I? Okay, I'm gonna start from here. In the Egyptian, let me just read over this verse 5. And then it came to pass from that time that he had made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eye upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me. Now, Joseph was a good-looking man, Joseph was a good-looking man, And the wife got tender-eyed for him, But he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master's whatnot is with me in the house, and he have committed all that he had in my hand. Now none of our people, I ain't gonna say none. A majority of our people, 2/3 of our people, the men, they would have jumped at this chance. Why? Because they have no integrity, they have no honor, and they do not know Yahweh Shem Yahushua, so they would have jumped at this chance. There is none greater in the house than I. You hear that? There is none greater in the house than I, neither had he kept back anything from me, but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against Yahweh? And it came to pass, and she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her or to be with her. He didn't want to spend no time. He didn't want to talk. He didn't want to chop it up. He didn't want to sit. He didn't want to, just extrapolating from what we just said. Extrapolating from what we just said in this verse, he didn't want to chop it up. He didn't want to eat breakfast, lunch with her. He served it and dipped out. He served it and dipped out. And it came to pass, because it says to lie with her or to be with her. He didn't want to be in her presence for too long. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house therewithin. The guards, because the guards going to tell. The guards going to tell. You're supposed to have guards in the house, like your eunuchs and stuff. In case something like this happen, you have witnesses be like, nah, this brother didn't do it. Your wife was trying to be a hoe. All right, let's execute this hoe. But in the times in the kingdom of heaven, it's gonna be like that. It can't good enough for our women, because our women also have the law, statute, commandments within them. This is gonna be like something for these heathen, the other nations, these heathen men. They gonna have this type of honor in their house, or this type of sight in their house. If a woman try to do some BS like this, they gonna try to sneak and do it. If she trying to sneak and do it, she already cooked, bro. She already cooked. Salakia. Verse 12. And she, I'm gonna read that last verse. And there was none of the men of the house there within, and she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. And it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying, see, he had brought in a Hebrew unto us to mock us, and he came unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. Oh, I hate this. She couldn't get what she want. She kept on getting rejected. Just like women today, when women get rejected, they snap for some reason. When they when they try to shoot their shot and they get rejected, they snap. They get angry, and they'll do something petty or say something petty. Yeah, I'm sure a whole bunch of situations like this happen. Let's continue. And he fled and got him out, and she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she yeah, you gonna get this. You gonna see what happened for being righteous. She tried to make this man pay for being righteous. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, the Hebrew servant which thou brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. And it came to pass, when his masters heard the word of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, after this manner did thy servant to me, that he was wroth with that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him, and he put him into prison and place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in prison. But the Lord was with Joseph. The Lord was with Joseph even when he was cast into prison. You hear that? When Joseph was cast into prison, the Lord was Yahweh Shemel Shai was with Joseph and showed him mercy. He was in prison and he was showed mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. Remember that. In the times to come, remember that. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did, they did there, he was the doer of it. And the keeper of the prison look not to the things that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that which he did, the Lord made it prosper. So y'all know the rest. This is I'm just saying, this is the patience. This is hold on. It says experience worketh patience, because he getting all this experience, but yet he's still trusting in the Lord, right? He's still trusting in the Lord. So what? He began to prosper, and no matter what situation he was put in, no matter what situation when he was put in, he began to prosper. Listen to this. This is James. Chapter 5, verse 7. Listen. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husbandman waited for the precious fruit of the earth, and have long patience for it, until he received the early and latter rain. The husband, he waiting for that fruit, that vegetation to grow. But that takes time, but you have to continue taking care of it, watering it. And what? That what Yahweh Shemel Shai was doing with Joseph. Each situation, he was letting it grow, because it did go into Judah, how he got a woman, got a pregnant, and their sons grew, and his son grew. So Joseph was growing up in this, Joseph was growing up in this. You seeing Joseph be a plant and growing up under the husband that is Yahweh Shemel Shai, because he kept to Yahweh Shemel Shai ways, Yahweh Shemel Shai showered him, watering him with what? Favor, He went through some stuff. Of course, he was going through some stuff, but he maintained his integrity, just like Job. He maintained his integrity, so he was showered, he was watered with favor. Verse 8: Be ye also patient, establish your heart, for the coming of the Lord draweth nigh. You have to what? Establish your mind. Put your mind on Yahweh Shemel Shai returning, on these prophecies, You have to put your mind on these prophecies, Keep in mind, Yahweh Shemel Shai will do as he said, will reward your patience, your integrity, your belief in him. Bless all those that have not seen but believe. He said, bless. So you believe in him, never seeing him, never seeing him, and you believe, in a world, in an age that is mainly agnostic, they atheists, and you believe. You have all these schools, these disciplines of thought try to sway people into their belief, into their theories that there is no God, that everything is a cosmic accident, but yet you still believe. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai got y'all. Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai got y'all, you know? So, hey, with that, I'm drawing to the close. I probably put up part 4. Yeah, I'm going to put up part 4. Abba Rasa, Lord willing. I put up before part 4, you know? So, with that, I hope y'all was edified. Again, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone, peace and blessings to the whole elect, the house of David. Until next time, Yahweh willing, Shalom.